Hello and welcome to Wild Norwood 2020. My name is Kim Hart and I'm Vice Chair of Norwood Forum and organiser of this Winter Window Wonderland Festival. The festival is really all about the community's own window designs, and you can download the window maps from the forum website, norwoodforum.org. Behind me is the Buzz Garage Community Garden with its fruit trees, and it's managed by Open Orchard. They've run several festival events, and I've chosen this because today we're here to learn about cooking with foraged fruit from local artisan preserve company Fruition, which is run by Wendy Yates. Unfortunately, Wendy can't be with us today, but her cooking demo is pre-recorded, fortunately. So please still add your questions in the comments box and we'll pass them on to Wendy. It's a great video, just 15 minutes long. Here we go. If I could share it, wouldn't that be marvellous? Over to you, Wendy.
Hi, I'm Wendy, and I run a small home-based preserving business, Fruition Preserves, here in West Norwood. I'm really keen on sourcing my ingredients as locally as I can, most often from small farms in North Kent and Sussex. But in the last few years, I've started finding sources of fruit that are really local, from around Norwood, Crystal Palace and Dulwich, from people's gardens and allotments. And I really love using this type of fruit, which would otherwise go to waste, because it's pesticide free and it has amazing quality and flavour. This is one of the products I make, quince jelly. This year I've managed to source the quinces for it from local gardens, which has been really great. So many people have fruit trees like this that they aren't really sure what to do with and what to do with the fruit. So when I was asked by Wild Norwood Winter Festival to do a preserve making video, I immediately thought of all the crabapple trees out there whose fruit drops to the ground and rots. I approached one of my West Norwood neighbours for their spare crabapples, and I'm going to show you how to make a delicious crabapple cheese or paste similar to Spanish membrillo, which would be a great addition to your Christmas feast. So welcome to my kitchen. To make crabapple membrillo then we need 5 simple ingredients. First of all, a quantity of crabapples, about 2 kilos I think is good. 2 lemons, which helps the membrillo set. A splash of cider vinegar, some white granulated sugar, about 1 kilo to 1.5 kilos, and a quantity of water. So the next stage is to prepare the fruit. It's really important to make sure that the fruit is really clean and to pick the fruit over to remove the stalks and any dodgy ones that might have started to go off a little bit. Okay, so here we are. Our crab apples are all prepared, washed, the stalks taken off and any dodgy ones thrown out. These are a red variety of crab apple, and I use them because they make a really nice coloured membrillo at the end. But it's also fine to use the yellow or green ones. So next you need a heavy bottom pan. I use a special preserving pan, but any large heavy bottom pan will also do fine. So we place our crab apples into the pan. So that's about 2 kilos. And then we add the juice of 2 lemons. So no need to sieve it or anything. The pips can go in as well, because we're going to sieve it all once it's cooked. Need strong hands for this. So that's the final one. So that's the juice of 2 lemons, the pips are actually really good because they contain pectin, and that's what's going to make our embryo set, that with the natural pectin in the crab apples. So the pips at this point are a good thing to have in. And then add enough water. So that was half a litre. I'm going to add a bit more. So we're adding just enough water to just cover the fruit. And then put the heat on full and bring your pan up to the boil. Okay, so this has been on about 10 minutes now on full heat, and it's now coming up to the boil. And it's starting to smell really appley, which is lovely. And I'm just going to turn the heat right down now to just a gentle simmer. And I'm going to simmer it until the apples become tender and start to turn into a pulp. So this has been simmering now for about 45 minutes, and the fruit has nicely cooked down, and we've got a nice pulp forming there. So we're ready for the next stage. So we're going to turn the heat off, and the next stage is actually sieving it, because we've got all sorts of little bits in there, pips, the ends. We need to get all of that out and have a really nice smooth paste. So we want to sieve this mixture and just have the smooth paste without the pips and the skin and the stalks and things. Just a little tip to help you with sieving it is it's a good idea just to break up any bits of fruit that haven't broken down in the cooking process, to just give it a good mash with a potato masher first. And there we can see we get a nice thick pulp, and that's going to make it much easier to press it through the sieve. And it's a beautiful colour. It's a lovely light pink at the moment. But as we cook the next stage, that will gradually darken. Right, so we've got our lovely thick pulp mashed up, and now I'm going to pass it through a conical sieve. So a conical sieve is probably a bit easier to pass it through because you can get good pressure downwards, but any sieve will do. So we're just spooning the mixture from the pan into the sieve over a bowl. Oops. And then pressing it through into the bowl below. I use this sort of sliding action back and forth against the side of the sieve. So I'm just finishing off sieving the rest of the crab apples. So I've done them a sieve at a time, discarding the debris in between, because that makes pushing it through the sieve a lot easier. Okay, that's all done. So now we have a really lovely, smooth bowl of pulp for us to move on to the next stage. Okay, so we're ready now for stage 2 of the cooking process. Got our pulp in the bowl. I've washed up my pan, and I've got it sitting on my scales at 0, ready to weigh the pulp. So I'm just going to tip this hot pulp gently into there, getting every last drop out. precious stuff after all that hard work sieving. There we go. So I have 1 kilo, 800 grams, so 1.7 kilos. To that 1.7 kilos, I need to add an equal quantity of sugar. So I'm zeroing my scales again, and I'm just adding the white granulated sugar. Looks like a lot of sugar, but they're quite tart. And we need the sugar to react with the pectin to get it to set. Okay, so back onto the heat. Just going to stir the sugar into the pulp. Beautiful colour. And I'm going to add just a little splash of cider vinegar, just to add a little bit of sharpness. Okay, and now turn the cooker back on. And the hob wants to just be sort of medium-ish whilst we dissolve the sugar gently into the mixture, stirring as we go. Okay, so the sugar has now all dissolved, and you can see as there's more heat, the colour of the mixture is darkening, and that will gradually darken as we cook the mixture out now. So we're going to turn the heat up and bring the mixture to the boil. So the mixture's just coming up nicely to the boil now. Quite important to stir now at this point, quite continuously. So it's coming up to a nice rolling boil. And I'm just going to turn the heat down now so that it stays at a rolling boil, but not too vigorously. We need to keep a close eye on it now, stirring regularly to stop it sticking to the bottom of the pan. So the mixture has been on a medium-low heat now for about half an hour, and as you can see, the consistency of it's really changed. It's reduced by about half the quantity, and it's turning into a thick paste now. Lovely and glossy too. It's got about 10 more minutes to go before it's thick enough to put into the containers. But this bit's a bit tricky because as the mixture thickens, it bubbles up and spits and can really burn. So I use one of these handy covers to just protect myself in the last 10 minutes. So I'm stirring the mixture about every 2 minutes just so that it doesn't stick to the bottom. And whilst I'm waiting for it to just finish cooking, I'm going to prepare the tins that I'm going to put them into. So I'm just using a flavourless oil, just a vegetable oil, to grease these bread loaf tins. And that's what I'm going to set the embryo in. So it will be thick enough that when it's set and cool, you'll be able to slice it. Okay, so during the last 10 minutes of cooking, this has now been on a very low heat, just because it can really burn onto the bottom of the pan easily. So you just need to take your time with this last bit. That's looking good. You can tell if it's the right consistency if you draw your spoon through it and it leaves a trail. When it's like that, it's ready to go into the moulds, and it will then set into a nice firm jelly once it's cooled in the fridge. Okay, that's ready. So I'm turning the heat off now because it's really hot. So you just want to let it cool for just a couple of minutes before you put it into the loaf tins. So I'm just going to clean every little bit off this spoon. Beautiful colour. It's going to be absolutely delicious with your cheese boards at Christmas and cooked meats. Okay, so we're ready now to label the mixture into the loaf tins. Beautiful and glossy. I'm going to take this right up to the top. And I'm just going to smooth the top with a palette knife. Just to get a nice even surface. So the membrio has been sitting here in the bread tin for about an hour now, so it's cool. So I'm just going to cover it over, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge to really set overnight. So 12-24 hours is how long it needs in the fridge. I'm just going to put it in there. And then tomorrow I'll take it out and turn it out and put it into an airtight container where it can be stored in the fridge for several months. So, and then you can just take it out and slice pieces to go with your cheese board or your meat boards at Christmas. So happy membrio making.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Really inspirational. And I'm off looking for crab apples. If I didn't know what they looked like before, I do now. So as I said, Wendy's not here to do some questions, but please do, or to answer your questions, please do add them below this video and we'll make sure that they get passed to her. Thank you very much. Goodbye.